So peace everybody. I want to make this quick video while I have a minute. Um so many things. I made another video not long ago talking about how I found my second great grandparents on my mother's side, but from her paternal side. And thrilled to pieces, I'm still super happy and I feel blessed about that. But so my dad never knew his father. And so it's because my grandmother, his mother, um, she and his dad broke up when he was really young. And she relocated to New Jersey. They lost contact. I don't know all the nuances behind it, but I just know my dad didn't know who his father was. Now, I don't know if he knew at some point and forgot, or I don't know all the, story, anything. I just know when I asked him when he was around 70 or so, he was like, I don't know who my father is. So, okay, that was it. He didn't have anything to give me. So I had been, searching for him, and I know I had a whole lot of relatives down in Georgia from my father's side. And, you know, I have on Ancestry alone, I have over 2,000 DNA matches. And so, I looked into it, but quite frankly, I do so much in genealogy that I just kind of put that on the back burner and was dealing with other things that were, more readily available and things like that. I had talking to DNA cousins because, we've made contacts, me and some of them. I've spoken to DNA cousins and we're like, I think it might be through this line. I think it might be this. I think it might be that. So finally I sat down, and one of my second cousins, her dad is actually my father's first cousin. They never met each other, knew nothing about each other. And so I finally took the time to sit down and just really delve in, right? So they're first cousins or half cousins is how it says on Ancestry. That means that if they are, they have either one or two grandparents in common. So I know that my father's maternal line are Bahamian, everybody from the Bahamas. Now, in seeing that with the transatlantic slave trade and stuff like that, you can still have people that were from over here because Gullah Geechee people and Bahamians are closely related in some regard. And but I still said, chances are it's not going to be like this first cousin won't be from his mother's side. And so that means go over to the father's side. Who would be the father's, his father's parents, or my father's grandparents? Who would my father's grandparents be? And so I went to my cousin, who I said is the second cousin. Let's call her Deborah because I want to say her name on here without permission. But so I went to see Deborah's father, who is my father's first cousin, who were his grandparents. And so, just again, studying the tree that she has available, I knew it couldn't have been from his father's side. So then I would make it from the mother's side. So, I needed to see who were her parents, which I did. I found who her parents were. And from there, it's like, okay, who is their son? Because that would be my father's father. Child, they got so many sons. They had so many sons. But I believe I narrowed it down to the son because my father shares that middle name. So I couldn't see her, like, I couldn't see my grandmother having a child with somebody who wasn't that person's name. And, like, she give her son the man's brother's middle name or something like that. So I'm assuming that I've narrowed it down to the man. Now, one of my DNA cousins before, who he's very much into this too, and because of him, I know what my grandfather and my great grandparents look like, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But you know, he told me before, like some years ago, because he and I actually lost contact. But he told me like, okay, I got it narrowed down to two brothers, and so it's about 8 of them jokers. So I was like, cool, but again, you know, we lost contact. So now, as I said, I believe I know the exact one, and even if I don't have the exact brother, which again I 100% believe that I do, um, I know the family, and it's so crazy because this cleft chin right here comes from my dad, and so his mama don't have it. All the Bahamian family that I know, they don't have it, and so lo and behold, my father's grandmama, light skinned like me, also has a cleft chin. So that's funny that it's like so cool when you start to see the when you start to see, excuse me, y'all, I am at work. My aide forgot to cut off the bell back there. So it's cool when you start seeing the connections, and then it's like, okay, well, where she get it from, and then who that person get it from, you know what I mean? So also, I don't know, my family, my daughters and my sister telling me like, you look just like her, you look just like her. But it's so funny because my sister and her children look just like that man's sister. So our what, like, great aunties. So it's just so dope. So we have these photos. We have photos of, you know, my father's father, my father's grandparents, my father's aunties, some of my father's aunties and uncles. And we also have we also have the slave roll, or the slave inventory of the people who actually had my family imprisoned, enslaved. And so not only is that like just like dope, it's really rare to be able to find those things. And so it's crazy because, well, so my great grandfather, my father's grandfather, he was born 6 years after emancipation, or more like 8 years after the real emancipation, but 6 years after emancipation. And his father, I believe, was actually owned by this man, which is why that surname is still in the family today, through the males, because again, they had a whole bunch of sons. And so I don't know, y'all, it's just so dope. Now, meanwhile, I don't know if I said this in the other video, but meanwhile, on my mom's side, her dad, her father's mother, so my great grandma who raised me, her grandfather and grandmother, they were actually enslaved also down in Maryland. And this is all documented. They actually escaped. And I know people like to say self-emancipated, whatever you want to call it. That's what they did. And when my grandmother was born, this town all the way up to the tippy top of Pennsylvania, they actually made their way there because there's a home that is still there, which is part of the Underground Railroad. And so they escaped, they made their way up there, and they were like living as farmers and stuff like that. And, you know, I have them in the 1860 census. In Pennsylvania, emancipation came in the 1850s, 1854, 56, because it came around the same time in the Bahamas too. So I can't remember right now. I think it was 1856 in PA and 1854 in the Bahamas. So, you know, they went up there and they were doing their thing, farming and whatnot. And then um, when the Civil War started, my second great grandfather, Joseph Franklin Brown, actually went back down to Maryland to fight in the Civil War. So I already knew this because I've seen the church documentation. And so I knew that from the church records that I have a copy of. But so dope, the other day I actually found the veteran card saying, you know, again, just reiterating that he was part of the 12th Regiment, colored troops and stuff like that. So pretty dope. Pretty dope. I have, you know, other stuff like that too, of course, but it's just cool. I don't get bent out of shape about, you know, so far as a lot of people, like, they get mad about it and stuff like that, you know, to each their own. For me, I don't look at the trauma part of it, because I look at it as resilience. Like, yo, they really made it through. Um, and I also don't look at slavery of African American slash Native American people here and the combination Afro-Indigenous people here. I don't look at that as like the worst trauma, the worst thing that happened to anybody in history, because white people been effing stuff up for nations all over the world for so long, and not only people of color, white folk too. You know, y'all know I'm Irish also. My grandma is German and Irish, or was German and Irish when she was here. And so, you know, they just some evil cats. Not all white people, of course, but pretty cool. Peace.